Hello, welcome to Tech Dives. Today I'm going to talk to you about how City Skylines is better than SimCity 4. I know my last video I talked about how SimCity 4 is better than City Skylines. Well, I'm here to do just the opposite and tell you why City Skylines may be better. So, number one, the most obvious and most powerful reason why City Skylines is better is that it's in 3D, right? So, you notice you can have three-dimensional buildings. You can pan the camera around in all angles if you want. There's mods where you can go into first-person mode, drive cars around or whatever. You know, you can explore a city street by street if you want to. In SimCity 4, you're limited from an isometric, like top-down kind of angle like this. That's all you would see, and it's all sprites. You know, nothing's actually 3D modeled or anything. It's just very, very simple. This, on the other hand, is the next step. It's the logical step beyond 2D sprites that SimCity 4 offers. In addition to that, I guess point number two that goes hand in hand with the 3D would be that this game is not bound to a grid. While there are grids coming off of the roads and whatnot, as you can see here, the roads are not defined by grids. The pipes aren't defined by grids. Yeah, and that's a really strong point because it allows you to make curves like this rather than having only a 45-degree angle or a 90-degree angle road coming out of this intersection. You can have one that curves and goes off at maybe 13 degrees or whatever. You know, realistic roads is what 3D brings, and it shows, right? You can make super realistic looking highways in this game because, you know, you just have the natural curves of real life going on. It's really something that cannot be looked over when it comes to this game versus SimCity 4. My third reason why this game is better than SimCity 4 is that it is a modern, active game with an active developer. SimCity 4 is dead. Except for the modding community, it is a dead game. Heck, Maxis doesn't even exist anymore. Even though I'm pretty sure SimCity 5 made a profit, they still canned the whole thing because EA is pretty much an evil company. On the other hand, City Skylines has Paradox Games as their publisher. They are the kings of these like mid-size, nearly indie games that are just superb. And Colossal Games did a super job of making a city simulator. They are continually making DLC after DLC. It kind of sucks that it's DLC, but there's an open modding community. You can mod as much as you want. And yeah, there's a reason why people like Paradox and they don't like EA, of course. And so that's showing. So number four is that City Skylines is a modern game. And by modern, I mean it runs on modern hardware. It can play at Windows 10 64-bit just fine. It does require a bit of beefier CPU just because it's simulating so much stuff, but that is really awesome. You try to play SimCity 4 right now, you're going to struggle. If you have Windows 10, I think Windows 10 has built-in lack of support for the DRM of SimCity 4. Now there's ways around it. I believe the Steam version of SimCity 4 has that cut out of it, but even then, the game is not used to 64-bit. This game came out before 64-bit was a thing, right? It came out before, I think it was Windows XP was around the time this game came out, which is ridiculous. Not this game, SimCity 4 came out. I'm sorry. Anyways, so that really shows. It's a struggle to get SimCity 4 to run. This game runs awesome. You run it on a toaster if you want. It's gonna, chug, but it'll play. SimCity 4 is almost completely unplayable. I'm thinking about actually building a custom PC just to play SimCity 4 on my older games on, because I'll probably do Windows 7 32-bit, keep 32-bit NVIDIA drivers on it, stuff like that, just to kind of maintain an older environment, but one that's still able to run games like SimCity 4. And then, yeah, number five is my personal favorite of this game, other than the 3D aspect, is that it simulates every single agent. So this guy right here, or the girl I should say, is Elizabeth Miller. She's an educated adult. She's driving to a plaza with picnic tables, right? So she's driving here, and what I'm getting out of this is that is simulating this person driving all the way from their house, or not from the house, they're a tourist, right? So they're coming from a hotel or from off of the entire region, driving to this park and then driving away. Now that is pretty huge. No games except for, I think SimCity 5 did do this, but it was a lot worse because the game struggled to run. So they limited the city size, which strangled the game. Anyways, that's another conversation for another day. But the simulation of every agent in this game is awesome because you're actually simulating an actual city, right? So you have this cop, right? So they're based out of the police headquarters, so they have to drive around the city, and thus they will take out the criminals that they drive by, which you can't simulate that without simulating every agent. And then the criminals themselves are simulated. They're walking around, you know, committing crimes or whatever, reducing the land value, lowering all that stuff. And yeah, and that plays into traffic a huge amount, a huge amount. And versus SimCity 4, where while it does recognize that people drive from one building to another, it does not simulate the traffic in between, which plays into, you know, ambulances, fire trucks, all this stuff. The emergency services are the biggest factor that's controlled by this. And so it really makes dealing with traffic a major part of the game. Which, I mean, it's part of SimCity 4 too, but this is the simulation of every single agent in the game is awesome. And so, yeah, SimCity 4 doesn't have that. City Skylines does. You can't get past that. Anyways, the point of this video, not really the point, but what I'm trying to point to is that maybe my hopes and dreams are that with the recent processors that have come out this year, which includes Ryzen and heck, even the new Intel processors have more cores. You know, the enthusiast tier used to be 6 cores and above. Now the consumer tier is up to 8 cores, 16 threads, which is over double what the average was a year ago, right? And that's going to give developers double the CPU power to play with. So they designed this game to be played with probably a quad-core CPU, no hyper-threading. Which, I mean, that was a strong computer 2 years ago, but now that's low-end. And so they can design for higher and higher, more powerful computers, which will allow them to simulate with more detail every single agent in a city, thus you can have bigger cities. And maybe one day we'll have cities and City Skylines as big as SimCity 4, because that would be the best. Anyways, I'm Steven. Thank you for watching. Please check out my City Skylines streams. The city that you see here is called Miskton. I've been streaming it live on Twitch at twitch.tv/tick.gaming. You can find all the VODs on YouTube. Yeah. See you next time.